Hi guys, welcome to the fourth video of Zapier AI automation playlist. In this video, I'll be comparing Zapier and N8N. Both of these tools are famous no-code AI automation platform and it might work on different use cases. Now, after watching this video, you'll be able to make a fine-tuned decision on which platform you should choose. Although this video is sponsored by Zapier, I'll be creating a same video if it wasn't sponsored by Zapier. So make sure to watch the complete video where I'll show you a workflow in N8N and a Zap in Zapier, and then you'll be able to make a better decision on which way you want to move forward. We will also be comparing the pricing and the ease of use and flexibility at the end of this video. So make sure to watch the complete video. Now, without further ado, let's get into the screen. So guys, this is Zapier and we have been using both of the platform, and this is N8N where you can see there are some of the workflows which are inactive and some of the workflows which are published, or you can say active. So if I go to Zapier and then go to assets and then click on Zaps, you can see that we have a lot of different type of automations which we have created for our internal use and for our customers as well. So we have experience of working with both of the platforms for creating automations and AI automations. And in this video, I'll be creating a simple workflow where when someone fills up a Google form, so that's the Google form which I've created. When someone fills this form, it is going to automatically send a Slack notification. So that's what I'm going to create in both Zapier and N8N. And at the end of the video, I'll be comparing the pricing and I'll be comparing the ease of use. So make sure to watch the complete video. So let's start by creating a new Zap. So I'm going to go to Zapier and click on create. You can also add a complete prompt here, and they have this new feature called Copilot AI Beta, which is going to basically create a workflow with the prompt. So if you want to use that, I'm not good with prompting, so I'm just going to do that manually by clicking on this create button here. So let's click on create and then click on Zaps. Here we have this trigger, meaning when this workflow should start or when this Zap should start. In N8N, we say it workflow. In Zapier, we say it Zap. So I'm going to click on trigger, and here we will find Google form and then click on Google Forms. Now it is asking for the trigger event, meaning when should this Zap be triggered. So I'm going to select the event, should be new form response. When someone fill up the form, it's going to instantly activate this Zap, right? And I'm going to connect my Google account, which is very simple in Zapier. So if I click on sign in, it's going to simply give me this pop-up where I'm going to select my email, which I want to connect. So I'm going to select this email, which I want to connect. And then click on select on because it needs the permission to read my Google Forms, right? So I'm going to click on continue. And now my account is connected. Now it can read all of my Google Forms. Now let's click on continue. And here it is asking me to select the form. So I'm going to click on this drop down, and this is the form which I've created, Zapier versus N8N. So I'm going to select that and then click on continue. Here it is asking me to test the data. So I'm going to click on test trigger. And this is the simple data because I haven't done any submission in the form which I've created. So it's pulling up the test data here. I'm going to click on continue with selected records. And then now we will select the action. And for the action, I'm going to search for Slack. And you can see that Slack is showing up here. Click on that. And now it is asking me to choose an event. So we just need to send a message to a Slack. So I'm going to click on this choose an event and search for send channel message. So this is the Slack channel which I have created, and it is going to basically send the notification to this test channel API which I have created, right? So let's go back. Now we need to connect our Slack account with Zapier. So I'm going to click on sign in. And here it's going to take me to the Slack. Now I need to add in my workspace. So that is my workspace URL. I'm going to click on continue. And now it is asking me to log in. I'm going to log in. So after adding the credentials of Slack, it's now has given me this pop-up to approve the permission to post from Zapier to Slack. I'm going to click on allow. And that's how easy it is. My Slack account is now connected with Zapier. Now I can send the message to the Slack channel via this app. I'm going to click on continue. And now we will be selecting the channels. I'm going to select the channel which I created called test channel Zapier and add Zapier app automatically. Yes. Message text. This is the form submission. Now for this message text, we're going to add the dynamic value, which we will get from the form. Now let's click on plus sign. And here you can see that we have this form response showing up automatically. And I'm going to add in name, email, and phone. I think these are the fields which we created in Google Form, right? So let me check. Name, email, phone. Yep, that's it. So let's add in the dynamic values now. So this is my name. Where is my name? So here is the name, full name. And then go to the email line and then select the email. Do the same with the phone. And perfect. Now let's click on continue. And now let's test it. It's going to send the test data. Once the test data is being sent, I'm going to do the real form submission and see if we are getting any Slack notification via this app. So I'm going to click on test app. And now let's pull up the Slack. And here you can see that this is the form submission. So that's the name, email, phone, and you can see that it says sample text question answer because I haven't done the form submission. Okay, so let's do the test submission. So that's the form which I created, and I'm gonna copy the responder link. So that's the link. Open the Google form and do a test submission to see if it works. Before making a submission, we should be activating this app, meaning publishing it. So let's click on publish. Okay, our Zap has been published now. I'm gonna do the form submission. So let's make it quick. It's already pre-filled with the test. So I'm gonna click on submit. Yes, record the data, click on submit. And our form has been submitted. Now let's take a look at the Slack channel. Here we go. You can see that we have the submission received in Zapier. Now we can change some stuff in our we can change the bot name to be whatever we want. Let's say Websons Pro Bot, if we want to call it that. We can change the bot icon as well. We can add the link to the Zap. So currently it shows up here. So that's the link of the Zap, which it is showing up. And we can attach image, all of these features, which we have available all in no code environment. I'm going to create a same workflow in N8N. So let's start doing that. I'm going to click on create workflow. So this isn't a detailed tutorial of Zapier and N8N. It's just the basic workflow which I'm showing you guys for the comparison of N8N and Zapier. Okay, so in N8N, the first step we will take is to read the form submission, right? And if we click on this plus sign and start the first step and search for Google Form, you can see that we don't have any. We just have these Google triggers and we have Google Sheets. Here we have this Google Sheet and we will need to use Google Sheet because it doesn't have the Google Form. And in order to use the Google Sheet, we will go to this responses and then click link to Sheets. So whenever someone fill up this form and add a new response, it is going to be updated to that Google Sheet. So let's click on link to Sheets and then click on create and create a new spreadsheet. And here we go. You can see that we have our new spreadsheet created, which we will now read in N8N and then send a message to Slack. Okay, now let's do that. Let's search for Google Sheet node, add the node. And then once a new row is added, meaning the new response is submitted to Google Forms, and then the new row is added, it is going to run this workflow. So let's click on row added. And then I have this Google Sheet account already connected, which can read all of my Google Sheet. if you do not have it showing up, you will need to click on create new credential and then sign in with Google after adding the information. I am using the self-hosted version. That's why it's asking me client ID and client secrets. If you use the cloud version of N8N, you will have this sign in with Google button showing up here, where you click on that button and it will be connected to your Google account. Perfect. Let's go back. So guys, I'll select the document, which is this one here, form Zapier Vs N8N. Perfect. Now the sheet, we just have one sheet here. So form responses 1. I'm going to select that. You can see that is added, and it will trigger, meaning it will start this workflow when the new row is added. So that's our trigger. When I click on fetch test event, it's going to pull up the test data. There you go. You can see that the first row, which is showing up here, is showing up here in N8N as an output. Now we do have this JSON tab, which is good for tech savvies, meaning it's going to show the JavaScript object every time we have a node. And it also shows that in the table format and the schema format. Okay, now the next step is to send the message to Slack. I'm going to click on this plus sign, meaning the first step is the trigger, and then we have the action. So let's click on this plus sign, and here I'm going to search for Slack. And then in Slack, I am going to search for send message. Here, I already have the credentials connected. Again, if you are using it for the first time, you will click on this drop down and then click on create new credential. And here you have different options. If you're using the cloud version, you will have the connect the Slack account. If you're using a self-hosted version, just like I am doing it here, you will have to add the access token and all of the details. Again, it's good for the tech savvy, but if you are a new user and you want to create a pretty basic AI automation, then I would definitely go for Zapier because it is self-explanatory and it doesn't have the self-hosted and the cloud versions, different versions where you can create your automation. It's just the one same Zapier where you can create the new zaps, meaning automations, and automate your daily basis tasks. And Zapier have about 8,000 plus software as compared to N8N, which is about 1,000 plus software. So some of the time you will need to add the custom API calls like webhooks and read the documentation of different APIs if you want to connect these tools in N8N. Okay, now let's send a message. So I am sending the message. My operation is sent, and I'm going to send the message to the channel, and channel will be the one which I have created, which is testing Zapier. Here we go, test channel Zapier, which I've created. And in the message text, we will add these variables so it can dynamically submit the form response. So if I click on this icon, we will need to add in the dynamic values here. So let's drag and drop it here, and drag and drop the full name, drag and drop the email, and drag and drop the phone. Perfect. Now I'm going to just format it a little bit. Email and full name. Okay, I think we have email showing up 2 times. So I'm going to just select the phone here, and on top of it, I'm going to type it. This is, please check below the form submission. Please check below the form submission. Perfect. So that is the message which will be sent once the new form is filled, and it will automatically pull email, full name, and the phone from the form which is being filled by anyone. Okay, perfect. Now let's go back and click on save and then publish our workflow. So I'm gonna name it version 1 and then click on publish. Perfect. Workflow is published. There are some other technical details which is showing up, which I don't want to cover on this video because again, it's a basic workflow, which I wanted to show you guys the comparison in Zapier and the N8N. Now let's again fill up the form and see if we get the Slack automatic message. So I'm gonna fill up the form again, submit another response, and let's say test2 at gmail.com 1 2 3 4 5, and then click on submit. And now let's open up the Slack and wait for the message to be received. There we go. You can see that we have this message received that is in automation. You can see here it says automated with this N8N workflow. It's also showing the N8N workflow URL which it's been created for. So it is working completely fine. And here's another message from the Zapier because both Zap and the workflow of N8N is activated. That was the basic workflow which we created. And now it's completely based on your preference. If you are a little technical and you want to dig deeper on the data which is coming from the different applications, and you are a little bit aware of the JavaScript object and the API documentation, you can go with N8N. It is flexible with pricing. Now let's move on to the pricing things. So Zapier charged based on the task. So if you have few zaps and these zaps are executing the tasks, meaning executing the actions on daily basis, Zapier is charging based on that. And as compared to N8N, N8N has a fixed monthly cost of the cloud version, and they also have the self-hosted version, which you can start with just $5 or $10 a month. But you have to be a little technical in order to set up the N8N instance and then create the workflow and then have a little bit of technical knowledge of how the API works. So that is the comparison of the pricing. And for the ease of use, I would go with Zapier because to the non-technical people, it's good to go with this Zapier. But if you are technical and if you want to look at the data and need to create a more complex workflow, then I think N8N is the good choice. But again, it depends on the use case of what type of AI automation or automation you are creating at the moment. So that's it for this video, guys. So make sure to subscribe the channel and do not forget to like. Until next video, have a great day.